Welcome back, my friends, to another video on this Unsheltered program. And today, did you hear that? There it is again. My goodness, what is that? Allow me to introduce you to my new little friend. Yeah, I got a cat. If you've been following my channel, you know that my last name is Freewolf. So obviously I am a dog person. But, yeah, and I was not even planning on owning a cat at all. I've thought about it on and off throughout my life, but never really planned to. Until, well, that is a story I would love to tell you about today, instead of the typical Bible story, just to mix things up a bit. But before we do that, I just want to share something with you real quick. I don't know if I've done this before on the channel or not, because I'll be honest, I don't go back and watch my videos. I'm not trying to make a business out of this channel. This channel is just really, it's more about just sharing free education and having fun while doing it. I have tried to be consistent with videos, and I actually have done pretty well in the past. But I've been through some more growth lately, and I've realized that I need to just go with the flow. I can't make everything a schedule. There's some things that I have to prioritize a little bit more than others. And this channel is going to have to take, well, it's just going to have to be something that I get to when I get to. I still love it. I'm still going to keep doing it. I especially have even more reasons to make more videos and stuff. And so, you know, if my little buddy here creates any bloopers while I'm recording, you'll definitely be seeing them, because everyone loves cat videos, even dog people. So this is just me saying, I'm not even going to try to keep a consistent schedule anymore. When I get a Bible story out, it will be in chronological order of what I'm trying to do, or it will be comedy when I get it out. I do have my script memorized, and I am planning on hopefully doing something tomorrow night, or well, that would be the night this video gets posted, or there's actually a competition that I've come across that I might go try out for on the 16th of September, which I may try and record. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But for now, you know, this YouTube channel, it's not a major priority. It's not something that I'm really trying to make money off of. It's just, you know, it is an outlet to share some of the things that I've learned in just a freestyle fashion. Because I feel like I got to get it out there. I feel like it's important to be realistic about these things that we're talking about, which is, for the most part, the Bible right now. But not today. Today we are going to have a cat story that we are going to begin in 3, 2, 1. And so, how did I come up with this cat? And what is this cat's name even? I've done several takes, so I can't remember if I've already told you or not, but I'm going to pretend like I haven't told you. And I will save to telling you what his name is at the end, because that is part of how the whole thing comes together. I'm sure you will have an idea of what part of his name is, but I'll share with you his full name at the end of the story. So this, believe it or not, goes all the way back to when I was a child. even as a kid, I knew that I was a dog person because I grew up with dogs. Don't take that the wrong way. I know I'm learning to be a cat person now. But I grew up with it was called a toy poodle, literally a very tiny poodle. That was my brother's dog, and then I had my own dog for a little while. She was a mutt, not for very long. But yeah, and obviously, last name Free Wolf. I love wolves. You know, obviously, they're my number one canine. But cats, well, there was one cat that I didn't live with, but I watched a lot of while growing up, and he was my favorite cat. His name was Tom, from Tom and Jerry. And I always ended up rooting for Tom because he always seemed to get screwed over by Jerry. And plus, it's the natural food chain. The cat is supposed to win, but that's what makes it a fun cartoon. And so, Tom and Jerry was one of my favorite all-time cartoons as a kid. Definitely my number one favorite American kid cartoon show. And when I was very little, when my parents were still missionaries in Russia, I could still remember saying it as a little kid. I said, you know what, I might be a dog person, but if I ever have a great cat someday, I'm going to name him Tom. And, well, my sister saw how much I loved Tom and Jerry, and she actually bought me a stuffed tomcat from the show. And if I could find a picture of him, I don't have a picture of him and me together, unfortunately, but if I can find a picture of that stuffed animal, I will post it on here so you can see what he looked like. But I held on to this stuffed animal for almost my entire life. I kept it in my possession. I considered giving it away when I became like 11 or 12. I thought about giving him to my nephew. And thankfully my nephew was too young to remember, but I did give it to him and then decided that I wanted him back. Because I was still too attached. I think I gave him one of my stuffed animals, but I could not give my tomcat away. Because my sister had given that tomcat to me, and I ended up refusing to part ways with it. Now, I kept him all the way up until a year or two ago. Well, actually, it would have been last year now, until my dad passed away. I did not get along well with my father. I talked about this some in one of my other previous videos, I think. But yeah, he and I did not get along for the majority of our mutual existence. He didn't really like cats hardly at all. He was kind of mean to him. So that was not a connection we had, but I always wanted a connection with him. Like I saw how there were other kids out there that looked up to their dad and saw him as their hero, and that's something that I always wanted. So I always wanted, some kind of friendly connection with him, but the way he was raised religiously and everything, he was not taught to treat his children like friends, more like soldiers. So, what's that got to do with the Tom, with the tomcat? Well, I've been going through a lot of personal growth and stuff, and while I said some very open things at his funeral that a lot of people didn't like, I wanted to show that there weren't any personal hard feelings between him and me. and that I still wished that we had been able to have a really close relationship. Like I even had a dream while he was still alive. I had a dream about being in a bar with him and just having a beer together. It's something that would be greatly frowned upon by him and those he looked up to, and some of my family is actually cool with drinking a little bit now, which is very awesome. My religious family, but yeah, growing up, that was like him drinking alcohol was unheard of. And when I woke up from that dream, I just cried because I knew I would never have that kind of moment with him. But when he passed away at his funeral, I took my Tomcat with me and I put him in the casket with my dad. And I told him that as I put my Tomcat in there, that when he'd be ready for that beer, to bring my Tomcat back to me. So fast forward about a year later, and for those who are concerned, no, I do not get him high. I mean, he probably gets secondhand smoke, but I don't blow it in his face. He's young. I don't do that. But so yeah, fast forward about a year later, and I started working at this tarot shop, which I've just recently started doing as of maybe a month or two now that it's been. And yeah, I read tarot cards there. Look them up, Mama Tracy. And if you can call in from anywhere. Preferably within the U.S. Keep it free. We're not paying for international lines and stuff. But look up Mama Tracy, and you can ask for Rogan Freewolf, or just Rogan. And if I'm working, you can get a reading directly from me through Mama Tracy's shop. You can Google it. So anyways, I started working at Mama Tracy's a couple months ago. And one of the ladies that knows the owner, Mama Tracy, had some cats that she was looking for homes for, and she was down to one or two left, and this was one of them. And she hadn't brought him in yet. She just came in. She asked me if I was looking for a cat, and if I was interested. And she wasn't even selling him. Everything was already done for him. He'd had his shots. He'd been neutered. He's had everything medically done to him that's needed. He even had some vaccinations right before I picked him up. But and I didn't have to pay for him. He'd be free. And she even had a few things, leash and harness and litter box and kitty litter and some cat food that she was willing to give with him. And I really was not planning on having a pet for a while. I believe I've mentioned on here, I plan on actually moving out of my apartment, and you can have a pet with you while living in a vehicle. That's my goal, live in a vehicle for a while. And I was thinking about having a pet, although I was leaning more towards something like a pug, or some other kind of small dog. But I certainly wasn't planning on getting a pet before I moved out. But something told me, you know what? Ask what he looks like. And so I asked, and she said, and she described him. He sounded so awesome, and she said he was very well behaved, and he is. And how she's already trained him on some stuff, and he's only 3 months old. He's kind of big for 3 months, isn't he? He's gonna get even bigger. can get down if you want, or you can stay. But I said, oh, you know what? All right, I'll meet him. Why not? And so we met. And like I said, I never lived with other cats. I did short term with a couple. Um, One that I got along with. The other one had PTSD. It had reasons to not want to get along. Um, but otherwise, I never really met a cat that bonded with me. And this one, as soon as we met, like this one did. This one's been the nicest one to me I've ever met. I've never met a cat that's treated me sweeter than this one. And he even has the exact same, I don't know if you can see it or not, but he has the exact same eye color pattern as Tom from Tom and Jerry. And yeah, he doesn't have the same gray pattern, but he still has a very beautiful pattern all the same. He's not a complete Russian blue. He's part Siamese, so he does meow a bit here and there, like you heard at the beginning. But he's got some stripes on him and stuff, so he's still very beautiful. So handsome and very well behaved. Already litter box trained and everything. I've almost got him to know his name. But yeah, so what made me decide to actually take him? Well, after he and I met the first time, the universe absolutely started just bombarding me with signs. Well, let me give you a few of them just for a few examples. Well, I don't know if you want to call this one a sign or not, but one of the ladies that does readings at the tarot shop does readings on animals too. And so she gave me a free one on this little guy here while we were there. And she told me that he had met too many other people in life that were thinking about having a home for him. And he was done bonding with people. The only two people left he would bond with would be the lady that was taking care of him already, or with me. He wasn't going to bond with anyone else. So I was like, thanks, no pressure. And then of course, the universe talks to me through numbers and sometimes songs and stuff. But I don't, because I second guess a lot of stuff because I'm still learning. I'm getting a lot more confidence now, but I'm still learning. I second guessed a lot of it until I had a couple big whammies that hit me. Well, three that I'm going to talk about. The first big sign that I got, I had a busy day, and I just wanted to get my mind off of stuff, and so I decided, I'm just gonna chill out, smoke some weed, watch a movie that I have not seen before. And I decided to watch one that my nephew recommended. In fact, it was the same nephew that I was going to give my Tomcat to and decided to take him back. But he was too young to remember. Hopefully it doesn't remember. Sure. But the movie was Uncharted. Now, if you've seen the movie Uncharted, you probably already know what scene I'm talking about. But I hadn't, and I had no idea this scene was in here. If you haven't seen it, it doesn't spoil anything. But main character, played by Tom Holland, is talking to Mark Wahlberg, and he's giving him a list of things that he wants for their trip that they're going on. And the very last thing on the list, he's texting him, and he says, "Oh yeah, and get a cat." And then later on, they're got all their stuff together, and they're talking, and then Mark Wahlberg says, "Oh yeah, by the way, why did you tell me to get a cat? Like, what do you need him for?" And Tom says, "Oh, I didn't ask for the cat for me. I got him. I wanted you to get him for you. You seemed lonely." So that was the first one. The second one, um, a good friend of mine that I have, who is pagan and worships Freya, Norse pagan. Um, Freya is one of the goddesses in the Viking mythology, and she happens to like cats. My friend had no idea that I was considering getting a cat. But then I talked to her about it, and she told me, just the other day, actually, this was a few months ago, Freya, she told me this. She said, Freya told me that I should start a cat fund with my spare change, and that I should give it to something involving taking care of cats. And so she was saving up her change to she was planning on, she didn't know exactly where she was going to give it, but she figured it would be like an animal shelter or something, you know, but specifically for cats, since those are out there. And so she collected the change for a while, and the day before she like she and I met up to hang out, she had just made this long trip out somewhere for work where there was a cat only shelter that she was going to give her money to, but she forgot the money, and she felt really terrible and was beating herself up about it until that next day when I told her that I was considering taking this cat. She turned right around, went back in her house, came back out, and handed me the money. It was about $20 and some change. She said, "This is exactly what I was supposed to, what I was supposed to save up for your cat." So that's the second sign, and then the third one. I was I had to go on a trip. I was going on a week long trip. That I'm not really gonna get into because it was kind of personal. But it was kind of like a mini vacation that I took. Um, but so I couldn't take the cat before then. Um, but I had agreed to take him at that point. And this was like the very last like kicker of a sign that I got. I texted the lady, asked him how he was doing, and she said, "Oh, he's acting like he's playing more gentle with the other cats. He's treating them even nicer than he was before. It's almost like he knows he's leaving. Like he knows he's going somewhere else." And in addition to that, he's hanging out with his parents more. They had, she still had both his mom and dad there. Um, and she said something very interesting about this kitty's dad was that, you know how most cats like to sit in boxes? Well, our little guy here is no different, but his dad does not like sitting in boxes. During the last week, during the last couple weeks, before I brought this kitty home, him and his dad were cuddling together in boxes. And that's when I knew for sure that like this was from my dad. So, I have named him, well, 3 names. His full name is Jedi Jin Thomas. Jedi because I love Star Wars. I like the Sith a little bit more, to be honest, but he's gray. And as soon as I heard of like how gray he was, the name Jedi was the first thing that popped in. I was like, my gray Jedi, to balance me out. And also because I'm a dog person, and so to balance me out, I have a cat. Jin, not from Qui-Gon Jinn. I love Qui-Gon Jinn. He's an awesome Jedi, but that's not what that's from. It's spelled Djinn. That comes from the word for genies, the original word jinn. Because I wasn't even really wishing for him as a child, but he is my answered childhood wish. And I said I was going to name him Tom, so Jedi Jin Thomas it is. Thank you, Dad. So you will be seeing some more of him here and there, I'm sure. The next video, I don't know what it'll be. If it'll be comedy or a Bible story. But my comedy script is fully memorized, and now I'm just looking for a spot to, or several spots to go practice live. But like I said, I will also be going to a little mini amateur competition on the 16th of September, which I may record. So stay tuned for that. Obviously the video will be up after the 16th, but stay tuned. And until next time, my friends, stay safe and farewell.